All right, so I think this is
Just a
Lakshmi's
minute.
work.
Just a minute. Once you see the YouTube live indication, then you can start.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it's live on
okay.
YouTube.
All right. Yeah. Please go ahead. Yes.
All right. This is Lakshmi's work. The first thing that stands out to me is definitely that there's a lot of attention to detail. And I think the colors are also quite pleasing. I like that she's utilized just like these, sort of square colors at the back. It just adds a little bit of an interesting, detail, and it captures your eye. I think that's really interesting. Plus, I like that there are different shapes of pots and pans. I like that there are different materials that are used, like the straw as well. I think overall it's quite neat. I'm thinking what can be done over here is, again, a little bit more in terms of, I think the question was, how do you make it easier for a potter? How do you sort of make his life easy, or what kind of product or space will make his life easy? So I think maybe a little bit of a thought about that. It'll be interesting to actually see maybe a new product, probably some, oops, I think. Just a second. Hopefully I'll have this figured out by tomorrow. All right. Right. So like I said, maybe a little bit of detail in terms of what the center of the objective is, I think will be good to have that as well. All right. Very nice. First impressions are that it's very colorful. It looks like an actual space that has been created. Material usage is good. I think one thing, again, maybe just a little bit in terms of neatness in just the way that the material is handled. If you look at maybe the bookshelves that you have, again, it would have been nice to have like a nice finish probably. So I think that's something that that can be focused on as well. Yeah, otherwise I think that in terms of colors, it works really well as, yeah. All right. Okay, so in this, I think the first thing is definitely, it's a little distracting to have the background that is there, that is the newspaper. It might take away from what you've actually made. So either we can have like a contrast background if you want that sort of a look, or even maybe like a plain background works as well. Because again, that can be the base for adding more details as well, like we saw in the first picture. So in this, when you already have something which is quite busy, like the newspaper, I wouldn't suggest, probably having that on. Right? And I also think maybe we can add a few more elements into this. I'm not quite sure that it looks full enough. There has to be a little bit more, a few more elements that probably add interest to it. I like the texture that is there that you've created with these, with the straws, but I'm not quite sure what the intent is. So it'll be interesting to actually see how you can occupy this space a lot better with objects that actually add in terms of content. All right, moving on to the next. I think definitely the first thing that stands out to me in this is that there are very few 3D elements. especially for round 2, it's always better to actually try and experiment and create some things which are 3D and more tangible of sorts. So that's definitely something I feel is missing in this. So again, even if um, you don't have the space, the time to create the space around like the studio itself, maybe you can just create a couple of really nice looking pots, or a few objects that sort of make sense to the life of the potter. So I think that could be really interesting, just to sort of give it that you can add texture to the products, you can add like sort of just, you can even use like paint, color, whatever you want. So yeah, I think that's definitely something we can focus on in this. This I quite liked because it sort of reminds me of a very sort of traditional potter's house. I like the color palette, it's very minimal. um, there's a if you guys can see, there's a pipe for water to come out, under which there's a bucket. So I think it's really well thought out, and again, it's very aesthetically pleasing, in the sense it looks good, it's cohesive, it's sort of translating from one form to the other quite easily. And again, I think in terms of the usage of materials, I like that there's wire, um, yeah, again with the straws. So yeah, I think again, just to we can experiment a little bit more in terms of maybe type of pots, or again, I think there's a fan over here as well. Very interesting. All right, so I think in terms of color scheme, this looks really nice in terms of materials and just the overall aesthetic sense. I think it looks really good. All right.
Hi, this is my project. So do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, can you introduce
This is Gayatri.
Gayatri?
My name is Gayatri.
Go ahead,
So
Gayatri.
yeah, I've made like a curtain. It's supposed to be pushed to the side, but ma'am had rolled it up for it to be easier to see.
Oh, okay, got it.
But then behind that, there's the potter with the wheel and some clay, some paint, some tools. And the door is like supposed to be a cupboard.
Okay.
And in front are the stuff that he's made to sell. But yeah,
got it. All right, interesting. Again, so something that I look at this and I wish it was slightly on a larger scale.
Okay.
Approximately what size is this? The potter and the objects?
So the what do you say? The walls are like 10 centimeter and 12 centimeters. So
okay.
Should be probably 2 centimeters, I guess.
So again, now that I'm going through all the work, right? I wish there could be a difference in scale. So
yeah,
again, this is an open comment to everybody, right? So we have like a very sort of zoomed out picture for all the work. But what if we had something really zoomed in, or maybe something in which only his hands are showing, or again, it's something that you guys can think about. But how do you create interest in the aesthetic value, again, using all the things that we've learned in maybe like sketching, or perspective, or just think about the things that we could use again to add that interest element, which straight away could make your project look really different from the rest.
okay.
So yeah, I think that could be an interesting thing to try out, if not in this, for any other project. Just play around with proportions. Think about if you were like sort of visiting this place straight up, how would you see it? If you were in this room, for example, so like put yourself in certain situations, and it could be an interesting, sort of work.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think interesting. Otherwise, I like that you've added a curtain. But again, I think, yeah, if you figure out the perspective part, and maybe again, you can also create an interest by layering the pots at different heights again. So it could be like that. Again, you have lots of space at the back, which is quite bare right now, right? You have the white wall.
It's pretty empty. Yeah.
What about, adding something simple? It doesn't have to be super complicated, and you can use like pen and pencil to add detail if you want to. So
Okay.
at first glance, it kind of looks, detailed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So I think same, my comment would remain the same. If this is the first thing that you see from outside, it would be nice if it were either plain or it had a purpose to being there. What if you had drawn like a brick-like texture to it? Or again, if you had added some other detail, maybe like a name of the shop, or, the potter's name or whatever, that could be interesting. I think to a certain extent, I'm losing a little bit of clarity in terms of what the products are. Although the shapes are interesting, there is some thought that has been put into it. And maybe if I can read this, I might understand. Let me see. Yeah, I think even though the idea is there, in terms of execution, I think a little bit of attention to detail to the products might be interesting. Again, you can play around with colors over here also, right? Like if it's maybe like this is a shelf, if this is supposed to be steel, you can color it. So you can add that sort of depth again to all of these images. Yeah. And maybe again, think about proportion. This is quite a small room or space. If you wanted to, if you don't want to play with that, you don't probably need the walls, or you can just leave it like open-ended, maybe just like two sides, things like that, that you could play around. Again, definitely play around with colors. Just fold paper if you want to create that texture, like you have the curtain over here. What if you just created these textures and like put them up inside the shelves, which I think are the pink straws. Again, it's just about adding that interest. It could be a vase, it could be a picture, whatever, right? Like create something interesting with the materials that you have, which could actually make visual interest. All right. And again, just like paying attention to detail of the objects that are created. I think we did this. Yeah. So I think that's about it. Is there any other work that's uploaded now? Anyone else who's uploaded and would like me to see your work, let me know.
Right. So there's a different question which online students have done, Aishwarya.
Okay.
I have shared that link with you. So
Okay.
it's an edge link. So you can click on that.
Just, yeah. Yeah, I have it. Just a second. I think I have to upload an image to be able to see it. Okay, yeah, I see some here. All right, so I think Jagriti is here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi Jagriti. Okay, so Is the picture in the middle, is it supposed to be an eye?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, that's interesting. I think overall it looks interesting again in terms of the colors that you've used. I think this is supposed to be a chair, right?
Yeah.
That's the reclining chair that you would have in the clinic.
Right.
Yeah. Again, I think you have the ideas are there. Again, maybe just think about, just sort of sprucing it up a little bit, with the be it the chart that you're reading, sort of maybe like just the text that you have, the finishes that you have, all of that could be, I think maybe something that we can do. Is there any other pictures? Full of calm white and blue. Great. I like that you've identified why you've used the colors. Okay. It'll be interesting if you can add maybe a few, glasses somewhere. Probably won't be inside here, but like maybe just again, it could be like the ones that they make you try, right? So like just adding those a little bit might be these really tiny details. And what else do you tend to see in there? Yeah, maybe just like more posters and things like that. All right.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. All right, Nihal.
Yes, ma'am.
The chair looks really nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very realistic. And I also like that you've played with it's not a square room or a rectangular room. I like that you've created this little junction or this little space. Very interesting background. The pattern's really interesting. I see like it's inspired by an eye. Very nice. Okay, let me see if I can zoom in on your. Very nice. I think it looks good. Again, you have a wall which is kind of blank, although I understand that it might sort of, you're trying to maybe balance it a little bit. What you can also do is, is the chair freestanding? Can it stand by itself?
Ma'am, the optometrist chair or like the stool?
Yeah, the black chair.
No, ma'am, it's resting on the wall.
Got it. Okay, all right. Yeah, so that's fine. And again, maybe, just again, like you have the chart, the eye chart, right? And neatness a little bit, like tapes, and we'll try to like reduce that as much as possible. Try covering it up with, again, like this print or, another piece of paper. We'll try to keep it as, neat as possible. I like that you've added the lamp shades, these pendant lights. I think they look nice. All right. Again, first, like I said, the first impression, since it's like a different shape, it works really well. And you've paid attention to the chair, which is really good as well. All right. But we'll focus on neatness.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Mugil?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You were saying, no, that you just did it with paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Again, I think the pattern that you've created is interesting, but a little bit more detail we'll probably have to focus on with the, in terms of the actual products.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So I think, yeah, maybe you can think about it again, just attempt it again. Think about the last time you visited, the eye doctor. How was the feeling? Think about the emotion also behind it. Were you scared? So, I mean, if you're scared, red is a great color to add there, right? It's like danger. But think about that aspect also. How comfortable were you in there? Any other sort of aspect that you can think about, you can add that also to your hand material handling. All right.
Okay, ma'am. I'll improve it next time.
No problem. Yeah. All right. So, Why am I not able to? All right, Shamini?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. First thing that I'm noticing is that the proportions are slightly off. So laptop's a little bit bigger than the chair and, so on and so forth. So we can focus a little bit maybe on the proportions of all the elements that we add. Yeah, so think about like what maybe you can start with the biggest object in the room and work your way down, because then smaller things you can add at the later also, like just in smattering of small objects. But what you can think about is what is the biggest or what is the main focus of this sort of model that I'm making, and then you can sort of think about how does what is the size around it and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
And maybe again think about adding more elements, or again I think probably also if you scale up some of the elements, it might help as well, right? So I think we may need some more sort of objects as well, so that it looks a little bit more it looks fuller.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Let me see if I can go back to versions. Varsha?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. Okay. All right.
I think it glitched. I'll try to upload it again.
Yeah, I'm not able to open it normally.
Yeah, ma'am.
maybe
I'll do it
try
again.
it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it.
All right, great first impression. I like the um, very interesting. So, does it read something, Preksha? Is Preksha here?
Yes, ma'am. Those are just the alphabets, like
Okay.
random alphabets.
Random. Okay, I thought maybe it's like a sentence, or you try to form a sentence, maybe. Okay. All right. I like the colors. I like the sort of stripe, of the straw with the plain patterns. It looks very, aesthetically very pleasing.
Thank you, ma'am.
I think just a little bit more, if we can, like right now you have the, the opportunity to actually even maybe research the product before making it. So go ahead and do that, right? Like look, search up on Google, what does a dentist, not dentist, like an eye doctor's chair look like? And, base it off of that now, then after you've done it, that remains in your head. So in case, you have to make a chair for the test, you can actually just go back and refer to that. So it's always okay to like refer, get some inspiration from images or like details that you can add, right? So that way it just helps it get a lot better.
Yes.
All right. And always, again, this is to everybody, when you finish your model, I think it's good to kind of question, does this actually look like an eye doctor's office? Always go back and like question what you've done. Just always helps to do better. Okay. Is there anyone else's that I haven't seen? I think we've finished.
Ma'am, I uploaded it again. Varsha
Okay.
here.
Okay, I may have to. Yeah, 2 minutes ago. Great. It's a good idea to actually to create a sketch before, use that as a reference. Okay, I like that you've created the glasses, although yes, a little bit more attention to detail. Again, we have this 2D laptop, which ideally can be 3D as well, or a desktop. Again, chair details a little bit. What if you just like stuck a piece of paper at the back, you know, to cover up the clay?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that. Yeah.
And again, same thing, right? Like go research what is like, how can you quickly make the shape of what, you know, the chair should be like. And again, think about adding more 3D elements. Again, I see quite a few flat objects. How can you make all of these come to life? You know, how can you sort of bring them out? What about this ABCD thing? You don't have to make the whole thing, but just by simply maybe adding a frame around it, you know, you add that additional sort of 3D element. Could be
Yes,
something.
ma'am, I'll do that. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, I shall stop sharing.
Okay, Malini, would you like to add any comments?
Mr. Mesh, can I add a few points in general?
Sure, please. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So recently, I've just been going through NIFT's Instagram page and their social media and all of that. And I feel like there's a definite shift from the kind of requirements that were there before to now. They're definitely looking at more sort of purpose-driven, you know, sort of models or things that actually have maybe some kind of message behind it, be it, you know, social messaging or like more inclusive fashion or, you know, whatever that sort of, you know, whatever is the student's true viewpoint. I think that's definitely something that, you know, has been sort of explored more now, be it sustainability or anything that you know, it can be a viewpoint, like I said, of the student. So it's interesting to, if for any of these questions you can add in that viewpoint of yourself. It could be anything that you personally believe in, or it could be something that you're seeing around you, like it could be you know, anti-war sentiments, whatever. If you can add that maybe to your models, try to make it a little bit more purpose driven as well as aesthetically pleasing. And definitely functionality would be really interesting to see. If maybe one of the chairs could move, you know, it could be like a rotating chair probably, or the potter's wheel that we saw. What if you can hold and move the wheel at one point, you know? So things like that, either be it interactive or again, very message driven, could be quite interesting to see.
Right. Okay. What I would like to add is, see, they have given a list of materials, and they also, the list of materials is fixed. The quantity is fixed. Now, when you are doing a model, the size of the model that the students are doing, okay, if they can keep into consideration the availability of the material in terms of the quantity. All right. For example, here for this question, there are 2 bars of clay that has been given, right? So 1 meter of wire is given, 1 sheet of newspaper is given. So the size of the model that you're doing can also depend on the availability of the material. Okay. So I am not really able to understand the scale of this, the size of this work, what students have done, but I feel that there is plenty of scope to use all the material. For example, to make this particular chair, I'm sure there's a lot of clay that would have been left out. Okay, and the newspaper, I don't see newspaper being used. All right, wire. So whenever there is clay, wire is given because wire can be used as a harness inside to create something. Okay, something which is like self-standing or something like that, because clay would not have that tension property, right? So wire has the tension, so you can create something bigger by using of the wire because it gives you more flexibility. And then I was kind of expecting at least 1 or 2 students to create a human in this space, right? Because there's plenty of material, there is wire. They could probably kind of created a framework for a person to be there and clad that with a clay and etc. to make either an abstract person working in this workspace to give a feel of the space size. All right. And also like the potter's workspace of the wheel, rotating wheel, and yeah. So in fact, if you look into the parameters that we use here, there is something called as function or moving parts. So you can create something that is moving or functional in your model. All right. So these are all certain things that you can start thinking about when you are creating these models for the further tests. All right. I like the way Jagriti has shown that this is a study model. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, you kind of make it upside down, no problem. You know, so that kind of gives an indication that it's a study model. That's cool. And and probably give a little attention to the neatness, like the chair that you have created. We have discussed about this. Jagriti, I'm not sure if you are there in the first session.
Sir, yeah. Yeah, I actually started running out of time, so I'll pay attention to it next time.
Yeah, so I think since, okay, these classes are from Tuesdays to Thursdays, and of course we'll have a session on Sunday, the regular round 2 session. For Mondays and Fridays and Saturdays, I think we can have an exercise of creating miniature objects with various materials. All right, so you can, I mean, you don't have to have such a complex chair. It could have been a very simple, elegant chair. If you had practiced them, if you have put a thought into that, you could have easily done that. All right. So I think for tomorrow and day after, I will give you some exercises. Okay, so creating certain smaller miniature objects using simple stuff like the common stuff which the NIFT would generally give, like paper, cardboard, or clay, right? So using them, imagine various items of kitchen or maybe various furniture in bedroom or like in the living room and etc. Creating them in the most simpler and elegant way. All right. So if you can get that nailed, then you can easily create even more effective kind of works. Okay. So for example, this is done by Varsha. Varsha, were you there for the orientation?
Yes, sir.
So we have specifically discussed about the chairs, right? How
Yes,
we can create interesting looking chairs with minimal effort, right? But when it is coming to practice, you're drawing the chair with these 4 legs, okay? And it does take a lot of time to create those 4 legs and make a regular looking chair. It is difficult to make because it takes a lot of time to create that finishing and all of that. But we have also discussed how an interesting chair can be created with simple forms. Is it not? So all that has to come into practice when you are actually doing it. Now look at this chair, how shabbily it is done, and it looks pretty bad. You were given 2 hours of time, right? So for example, you could have created a monitor here.
Yeah, so the thing was like I started with like a giant room space, and then it took a lot of time for the other things, and I was left out actually.
So that planning is required. You got to assess, you got to judge how much you can create, what you can create. Okay, so this is neatly done. Even the chair, etc. It kind of it looks good. It looks good. Good job he has done. The equipment also kind of looks the way it is, right? In terms of the space, okay, so this is done by Nihal. Nihal, you could have probably thought about actually an optometrist using this space, right? So, I mean, the equipment would not be so close to the wall, isn't it? Because this guy has to sit and I mean, 2 people will have to be using this instrument. That's number one. And secondly, would you see this kind of a chair at a dentist place or at a eye specialist place?
So it's actually there both places.
Would you require a footrest? Like this is used where a person will have to sit and relax in the chair. I'll just come. Right. So what was I telling is this is a chair for a person to sit and relax. Okay. It the backrest also kind of leans. I mean, I feel that this is a kind of chair that is used at a dentist place rather than at a optometrist. So another task I would want all of you to do is to study various spaces. For example, look at right. So they have this kind of a relaxing kind of a chair. So you are right, Nihal. Okay. and look at the amount of space that is available all through, right? So these kind of studies are absolutely required, observations, quick sketchings, making models, so that it helps you to be prepared when such a question is asked. All right, okay, cool. So, all right, so the next activity I will post it in the group. So mostly we will be doing a lot of miniature objects, and I would suggest that you set a limit of not more than 10 minutes per object, because it is practicing time. All right, so take it as a challenge, and I'll post a list of objects that you can practice, and you can do that, and we will review them in the Sunday session. Okay. All right, so anybody else would like to add some comments or difficulties or questions or issues or anything like that, please go ahead. It's, now the floor is open for interaction.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
There's Jagrati here. So
Jagrati.
basically,
Yeah.
time management issues in this question.
Sorry, I'm losing your voice. Can't hear
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I faced time management issues in this question, but not in yesterday's. So I think I'm facing difficulties in creating these spaces with lot of elements. So what do you suggest for that?
That's a purely practice.
Okay.
Right. So number one, okay. So let me bring that presentation back. Right. All right, so again, taking the reference of the chairs, which chair do you think is easy to create? Let us say 1, 2, 3, 4.
3 and 4 are the easiest.
Which one?
3 and 4.
3 and 4 are the easiest. And they also look cool, neat, clean, right? So these are all various chairs, but generally people have a kind of an image of what a chair has to be, okay? So whenever we ask somebody to draw a chair, they will draw a chair with 4 legs, right? But you have to transcend that stage of thinking about an object in a way it can also be easily created as well, right? Now that would not happen in a jiffy. You have to put in a lot of thought and effort. All right. So tomorrow when I give certain objects for you to practice, now you got to think, okay, this particular object, how I can make it simple and elegant and modern, at the same time create it in a very neat fashion in less amount of time. So that is the thought process that you should be working on, and then figure out a way, and then you create it. And you should be doing this kind of exercise. At least you should be doing like 100 objects before your actual exam, right? So each object should not be like not more than 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, or 2.5 by 2.5, like miniature, small ones. And you set probably 10 to 15 minutes to create each of these objects, right? When you do multiples of these, then you'll get a very good grip on creating these objects, and you'll do really well.
Yeah, got it, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? All right. So if no further questions, so I'd like to thank Aishwarya and Malini for their presence and for the comments. And I appreciate the effort of all the students who are putting sincere efforts to do really well. Keep doing your best, giving your best, you will definitely succeed. All right. With that note, thank you so much. And tomorrow morning, I will post the question with certain objects that I would want you to practice. Please do that. And we'll also give you a link where you can upload them so that all these works can be reviewed in the Sunday session. Okay. All right then. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Aishwarya and Malini.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Malini.